Heyo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, or, well, welcome if it's your first time. Today we're gonna go into episode 2 of the bar introduction, or BAR. So, today we're gonna be focusing on a couple other sources of power that we haven't been able to focus on before. So we're gonna focus on tidal power and geothermal, which were not available to us in the other map and will not be available to us on every map that we play on. So you do kind of have to have a balance of what you're looking for and or what a map offers to you. So taking advantage of this game involves not just playing the game. It also involves a lot of map, not knowledge, but map ability to size up a map and see what you can use to your advantage, if that makes sense. Alright, simple defender AI, just like we had before. Nope, I don't want this. Okay. So, today we're going to focus on tidal, geo. We're also going to go into conversion and a few other different ways to get a decent economy in T1. And then we're also going to be going over like the theory behind your economy and what you should be looking for as you build it. And then we're also going to finish up with a focus on construction turrets and build power in general, because that's an extremely important part of this game, so long as you have the eco to support it. Alright, so today we're playing on Talus Wet for the presence of tidal, this chasm right in the middle that will separate the AI from me. Odds are the AI will just sit in this ocean all game, and it's great. That's all I need it to do. So, it's a perfect way to explain things to you, and if you want to copy these settings to just change the spawning locations top and bottom and add in a simple defender AI. This is a very large map. It's good for exploring, kind of experimenting with what bots, hovercraft, aircraft can do, and kind of just seeing things. So I would actually encourage you guys to launch into a game and just play around with things. You're going to learn things a lot faster by doing that than by listening to some idiot on YouTube drone on. This is a good intro video, but my point stands. Alright, so we're just going to hit start and hop right into it. So, tidal. Tidal power is, let's see, will it respond? Okay. Okay, there it goes. Alright, tidal power. So tidal power is only present on maps with water, which, makes sense. It's literally taking power out of the tide. So, yeah. Tidal power can be built anywhere in the water, so it's not super restrictive as far as the location goes, but its power output is dependent on not only the map, um, is it is only dependent on the map. Buddy, what's going on there? Alright. So, it is solely dependent on the map and, well, how much water you have to work with. So you can only build tidal in the water, so if you fill up your entire lake or reservoir with power, well, you can't build anymore. Now, the water on this map is so large that you really don't have to worry about that, but there are some maps where, like, you could theoretically just fill up the water. Alright. Another thing we're actually going to cover is what your commander can do and what bots cannot do. So, your commander has the ability to go in water and underwater, which is fantastic, right? That means that he can hide in this corner, and bots cannot go in water. Any bot, even the quote-unquote all-terrain that you'll see in Tech 2, that'll be next video. Um, they can't go in water at all. They'll go to the edge. If you want them to go here, they'll go to this cliff face and kind of just sit here. Alright, now let's start the game with a few mechs, just get it started, and then what we're going to do is build a couple of tidal generators, because, well, tidal's pretty good. So, what is tidal? Tidal power is this indicator right here. Just like the wind that you saw on the last map that we covered, it has a number right in the center, and that's your indicator for how much power will be outputted by each tidal generator per second. So the wind on this map doesn't fluctuate. It goes between 9 and 9, so it just sits at 9 all game, which is not bad, but it's not great. It's not good enough that I want to build it. Tidal power, however, is 22. Now, tidal power never fluctuates. Tidal power is a constant power source. It just changes depending on the map. So, for this map, it's 22, but for other maps, it could be low as 13.6 or some other crazy number. So tidal power can be extremely useful. Here, let's build a bot lab next. There. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and build another mech here. And have him build another mech here, and then here. Alright. That way our metal extraction will be at least semi-decent this game. Alright, so as he's doing that, so tidal power is extremely useful if it's high enough. So I have 3 of these, each producing 22 per second. That means every second I'm producing, maths, 66, I believe, power per second, just with these 3, which is awesome. And that means that I can build a bot lab without stalling either of my materials, and I'm actually wasting energy while I do it, which is kind of nutty. So what I'm actually going to do is go 1, 2, 5 of these guys, as per usual, and then I want him to do this, then this, then I want him to build some defense. So the reason I'm doing things in this order, you always want to get a mech up first, then some power, and generally a bot lab will come within the first 2 minutes of the game, right? So you want to have the eco to support your ability to build this bot lab with your commander so that he doesn't stall out anything. The next thing you want to do with your commander is, I would say, get eco. That is the primary focus of any game that you're going to have, is to just instantly get eco as quickly as possible. So what I'm doing with my commander is I'm having him instantly go out and just build mechs right now. Because metal is something that I'm not going to be wasting. I'm not going to get to 1250 anytime soon with only an 8 per second income, because I'm always using about 7 to 10. But I will later be using far more than I am right now. So I need to be careful to not throttle later. So what I'm trying to do is get my metal income up now so I don't have to worry about it later. Now, what I'm also going to do with my commander is, because he has the highest build power, which means he can build things the fastest given that we have the eco to support it, what I'm actually going to do with him is, as soon as he's done building these mechs, I'm also going to have him build some tidal power. When I say some, I mean like a nice little string like that. And then I'm going to have him build another mech over here. Alright, now that we have radar up, we should be good to go on a few other things. So I'm actually going to build 5 more of these guys. We're going to bring these guys, and we're going to put them right here, and... oh, there's 3 of them. Okay. I want to go there. So, notice what I'm doing here. So I'm taking these bots, and I am placing them as scouts. So they are literally, I don't plan on these guys being combative in any sort, because grunts, a single grunt, is so useless, it's not even funny. Like, the only thing it'll be useful against is a construction turret or something that can't shoot back. So, these things are really only useful in larger groups. Does that make sense? That's good, because if it doesn't, leave it in the comments. Alright, the other thing I'm going to do with my construction bots here is build some more defenses. So I'd like at least 2 guard towers, maybe even 3, because the thing about a guard tower is it can defend you well enough against 1 or 2 grunts, but all it takes is the grunts to be out of range of this single guard tower. So for a smart opponent, what they'll do is they'll find that guard tower, they'll instantly bring their guys out of range of it, and then just circle around to hit your bot factory without having to deal with the guard tower at all. Right? And then at that point, it doesn't matter if your guard tower is living or not, it just matters that, well, it's just there, and it can't reach. Alright, the other thing I'm going to do is set up some torpedoes. So torpedoes are the water equivalent of a guard tower. So these are good defenses for a rush, but not super great defenses in the case of, like, I don't know, a competent opponent. Now, let's talk about conversion. So, actually, Yeah, so we're going to start. So we have the resources to do it, so we're going to instantly go for geothermal. So I'm going to get one of my build guys to come up here and start building a geothermal. Now, a geothermal is location specific and map specific as well. So only certain maps have geo. This map has a ton of geo. Like, it is very rare to see this much geo on any map, and there is, what, 2, 4, 6, 12 geothermals on this map alone, which is insane. Now, geo is probably one of the best singular power sources of early game, or even late game once you get Tech 2. A geothermal plant will produce 300 energy per second on its own. Each one of these is only producing 22, and this is on a good map with tidal. Whereas a geothermal produces 300 a second. This is your single best Tech 1 power source. Take advantage of it. Alright? Alright. One other thing we're going to look at is the build time for this baby. So, one thing that we touched on last video but weren't really able to get into depth with was construction power and construction turrets in general. So, construction power is, say I have, well, 12,000 energy and 1,300 metal. Yes, I may be able to build this instantly because I have the resources. I have 13,000 energy and I have 540 metal. But it takes this much time because of the build power of this little bot. So as you notice, this takes about 2 minutes 30-40 seconds. Now, what I'm going to actually do is show you what happens if I have a construction turret. So I'm going to build a construction turret right over here, and then we'll get to that bit later. So we're also going to militarize a little bit better because our defense really isn't that great right now. So actually what I want to do is go 1, 2. I'm going to highlight these 3 and I'm going to send them right over here. Another thing I would also advise doing is, if you have a few spare troops, attach them to your commander. Now, I can't because, well, if I select this bot and I try and move him over here to the water where my commander is, you'll notice that he'll just get stuck on the shore like I was saying earlier. Oh, hey look, my commander's done building stuff, so let's build a little bit more power. Alright, and then we're going to build a bit more storage right after that. I like my storage. Storage is useful because right now I'm only using 168 energy. I'm also producing 354. And in a minute and 13 seconds, that 300 will turn into 600 and it'll double like that. It's awesome. But that'll come in a second. For now, I'm going to take this Tech 1 guy and I'm actually going to build some wardens. Because wardens are key in defense. So guards are like the first wave of defense. Guards can take care of a grunt or 2. But at a certain point, they're not going to help you at all, right? So you need to be aware of that. Alright, come on, 45 seconds. You got this, buddy. Alright, the other thing you have to be aware of is balance. So when you're doing any eco, you have to be aware that there is a certain balance to be struck between metal usage and energy usage, and metal expenditure and like the production of each. So one thing I want to touch on is actually conversion. So conversion is super useful. Conversion is taking energy and converting it into metal. And this is a really easy way to get metal, but you have to be aware of the energy costs that it will take. So when I get this guy in 16 seconds, I'm going to start building some energy conversion. So energy conversion, oh yay, this will be done in 30 seconds. And that just got finished, so now my power production is through the roof. So I'm building more storage, which is good. I'm also going to build even more storage, which should help for what I'm going to show. So, energy conversion. So I'm only making 15 metal right now, but I'm using 19. So you'll notice that this is just going to consistently go down as long as I'm using metal. And say I tried to build thugs, which use 140 metal, or even trashers, which use, or yeah, thugs, they use 140 metal. If I try and shift click and build 5, what you'll notice is my metal consumption will shoot through the roof, and suddenly you'll watch me start to get close to throttle. Now, I'm not particularly close because, well, I was sitting up at 1400 metal before I started building these thugs and building all of the things I am right now. Because I am building, let's see, a geothermal, thugs, tidal power, power storage, and a warden. And wardens are 480 metal apiece. So, now, conversion itself. How do we, okay, you can see. That's just for an example. Thugs are nice, but they're slow. That's all you need to know about thugs. So, energy conversion. This will only cost, each one of these will only cost 1 metal, 1250 energy. So this is the kind of thing where if you are absolutely stupidly wealthy in energy and have 0 metal, conversion is the route to go. I have 15 metal a second. I have 44,000 energy. Now, my energy production isn't the best it could be. I'm only making 800 a second, but I'm only using 240. So right now I'm throttling. So that extra 600 that is just being wasted, like, I can't store it. It's just going into the ether. It's going nowhere. What I can do with that extra 600 is convert it. And the way I'm going to do that is by building, well, converters. You know, kind of makes sense. So you can actually just build a construction turret. Alright. Alright, this will be done in 30 seconds, and we'll get back to what conversion is specific for. So, sorry. Conversion, each converter, each of these that I build, will make 70 energy turn into 1 metal every second. That means that for every one of these, every second is using 70 energy. That is not an insignificant energy consumption. So when I'm using 300 energy a second, suddenly that's going to jump to 370 because this is active. And then when this becomes active, it's going to jump again by another 70 energy, and then another. So 3 of these are going to be using 210 energy a second. And suddenly, that 300 energy that I was using per second, compared to the 800 production, that gap is covered by 6 converters, which isn't that many, when I can build a field of them. Now I'm going to have this construction turret just help, and while it's helping this guy build those, let's focus on this, and what a construction turret can do. So, what you'll notice is a geothermal with just one of these guys, one little construction bot, takes about 2.5, 3 minutes, right? Now, I built one construction turret. A single construction turret has a build power of 200, and that is all it is good for, right? Now, if I try and build a geothermal here in range of the construction turret, watch how long this takes. It was 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Now it is 45 seconds. So, construction power is your ability to use the resources that you have quickly. So, say instead of using 6 metal a second for a minute and a half, instead I'm going to be using 18 metal a second for 30 seconds. So, it will increase your usage of your resources. It will be using them quicker, but it will also complete the things that you want completed much, much faster, which is awesome. Alright. And now that the converters are up, you'll notice that my energy consumption is way up. Now, my energy production is up even more because I've built 2 geothermals in that time. I'm actually going to build a third right over here because, well, I can. Actually, let's demonstrate this a little bit more. So I'm going to actually build even more. So usually one of these will take 45 seconds with just one of these. They take 20 with one construction turret. Construction turrets are tileable. So that means that this will only take 20 seconds. But this next one is going to take even less time because not only do I have this working on it and one construction turret, I have 2 construction turrets on it. making it done in just 11 seconds instead of 45 with just one bot. And then this next one, it'll be done in 8 seconds. That is awesome. It uses more resources per second, of course, but it is a worthy trade-off if you have the economy to support it. You have to have balance. If you don't have balance, you are going to lose this game if you don't have your eco balanced. So, we're going to build this generator in what, 15 seconds instead of 2.5 minutes like these two? Awesome. Perfect. Now, let's start building some more converters because I'm going to show you what converters can be used for. Let's go ahead and be using this guy to build converters over here. Actually, I want you to do that, and then I want you to build this to make all of our construction go a lot faster. Alright. Oh, you're doing nothing. That's fun. Let's have you doing something. Alright, so this will be done in 6 seconds. That'll be done in 10. Conversion. So, now, I have not built any more mechs, which is great, right? Like, it's not great, sorry. I have not built any more mechs, but I'm making more metal per second than I was. And the reason is, of course, conversion. And that's great, because energy is super easy to get in this game. Energy can be made from an infinite number of sources. There is almost always solar on any map. There's almost always wind, and if there's not those two, there's going to be tidal. There is always a source of power that you can build in any location you wish with your commander. Just get power up very quickly. Metal is much harder. It either has to be taken from very specific spots that your opponent will know about. Like, I can guess that my AI opponent over here has these mechs, or this one, and I can set up something to specifically target this spot just to take out a mech. So, mechs are inherently just, like, vulnerable, just because your opponent knows where you're going to build them. So you have to be aware of that. So now, my metal production is up to 34 a second. My energy consumption is up to 1500 per second, though, because of this small field of converters. Now, we're going to overdo conversion now. Let's see what happens. So, one thing about conversion is, again, the balance. If you are not able to balance what you are doing as far as your metal conversion goes, if I'm converting too much, or if I don't have the energy to back up my metal conversion, then it's simply just, it's not going to work. You get to help that. And this is done in about 2 seconds. That's good, because construction turrets are god tier. We'll get more into what exactly construction turrets can do, because it's kind of crazy. Now you notice that I've actually built too many energy converters. So, or I haven't built too many, but I've exceeded the limit of what is actually useful to me based on my power output. So I'm making 1700 energy a second, right? And when none of my converters are active, which you can see by all the gray, I'm only using 130 energy per second. But as soon as these things kick on, and I can control that by dragging this tan slider, as soon as all of them kick on, I'm using 2200 energy per second. That's going to tear through my energy reserves, even if I have it stored 86,000 energy, right? You're useless. Okay. You two be building metal storage here. Alright. Now, I would highly actually recommend not doing what I've done with this base setup. So my bot lab does not have a clear path to get any of its bots out to the greater map. Don't do this, guys. This is an example of what not to do. Put all of these to the side of the bot lab. Put the bot lab up here next to these things, and do not put these two things in the path of the yeah, okay, you get it. Anyways, now I'm making 45 metal a second, but only until my energy converters burn through the energy that I have. So if I suddenly put the slider up here, then yeah, my energy production, like, you'll start noticing these things shutting off. And my energy production or consumption will even out exactly with what I'm producing, because the converters can, per second, adjust to whether or not I have the energy or am allowing them to have the energy to convert. That means my metal production is up to 39, which is great, right? Especially when, well, I'm not using any metal, which is pretty stupid in general, but I'm just not right now because I'm showing you guys. You generally want to be using your resources. If you're not using your resources, then, well, your opponent is using some resources, and they are growing, and you are not. So that is stagnation, and that's also something that generally you want to avoid in this game. So, as far as conversion goes, it is useful. It is extremely useful for just, in general, just having it is really, really nice. But one thing you have to be aware of is if you are going to convert, you either have to have literally no other option. So let's see here. I'm going to build another mech. Right? I'm going to build one right up here. Come on. You can go a bit faster. You help me. Just go here. Alright. Come on. Yeah. Sometimes construction things can just glitch out and not build the things you want them to. Which is always fun. Alright. So I'm building more metal storage just because I'm making 39 a second and I'm not using any of it. So now I have 5,000 metal, which is super useful. Alright, now build power. Yes, that will decrease the time it takes to build that, which is good, because each of these has 80 build power per unit. Now, my metal production went up by 6 from this, while it is only using 3 power per second. With conversion, to get the same metal output, I would need to be using, let's see, it went up by 6, 6 times 70 is, math, I'm getting out a calculator, I'm not even lying about it, 6 times 70 is, I would have to be using 420 energy per second in order to be producing the same amount of metal as this one Tech 1 mech. Let me be clear about this. If you can get mechs, get mechs. They are better. Just flat out. Okay? There is no competition. They are better. But if you are in a bind, which this map is not a bind, I will specifically put it out there. This was an example of a geo map with some good features for what I wanted to show. This is not a map where I would advise a whole lot of conversion. There are maps out there like moon maps or things like that where during the game, it's possible you will only have access to 3 mechs. 3 mech spots, and that's it, the whole game. At that point, yes, you need to seriously work on your energy and then convert. But it is not advisable to do that generally. It is just something that I've had to do because it was the only way to show you on this map. Alright? Conversion is a have to, not a want to. Until a certain point, but that is not Tech 1. Tech 2 conversion is better at a certain point because, well, at a certain level, you can only build so many mechs, right? Like, every map is capped. You can upgrade these to Tech 2. There's no such thing as a Tech 3 mech, by the way. So you can upgrade them to Tech 2 mechs. But there's a cap. I can only build so many mechs on this map. Even if I took over the whole map, there would still be a limit, a physical limit. But with conversion, there is none, because there is no limit to energy. At least as far as, like, I don't know, you'd cover the map in fusion reactors, and then there'd be a limit. But, like, at that point, can you really call it limited? So, like, Anyways, you get my point. At a certain point, conversion has its uses, but it is not the end-all be-all for eco. It is just another tool in your arsenal to build your eco up. If you have any questions about that or any ideas on how to creatively use converters, leave it in the comments. One other thing I will warn you about, converters are explosive, and say an enemy was to blow up just one of these, odds are it would chain reaction and blow up the entire field that I've built here. So you do have to be aware of that any energy converter field that you build can be very vulnerable, so you would like to do defenses like a guard tower, not close to it, but I'd say a little bit further out, and then do a ring of them to make sure that none of them can blow up, especially if they're close to valuable things or explosive things like construction turrets. And hey, there's a transition for you, right onto construction turrets. What are construction turrets useful for? So, well, we've already covered build power, and what you'll notice is when I'm building something, when I click on this and build it, I can actually see the green outlines of all of the construction turrets I've built. So within this range, within this inner circle, all 4 of these construction turrets can reach anything in there. And if I go out to here, only one of them will reach, and then 2 or 3, and then 1 or 2, etc. So if I take this spot right here, and I build a warden here, I know that all 4 of these turrets will be able to help, which is great, because that means that this building this warden is only going to take, I don't know, 10 seconds. And if I build another one over here, then we can do that. The thing about construction turrets is they're not just a single-use item. Construction turrets are some of the most important things that you're going to be using in this game. Because they are tileable, because they add so much ability to what you're doing, and so much, what's the word? They're very flexible. They can be used in so many different ways, right? So, let's say I'm being attacked here. Let's say I have 5 grunts coming at this warden. No, they're not going to kill the warden. The warden is a very powerful defensive object. It can take care of a fair amount of T2 units. Its main limitation, by the way, is its fire rate, so building multiple wardens is a very good idea, especially when your opponent gets to T2. But with a warden, no, it won't die from these units, but it will take damage. So if, say, my opponent was to just send wave after wave after wave of just small units, like grunts, at it, eventually it would die, right? And yet, the truth is actually not quite that simple, because if you have construction turrets close enough to the warden within the range, like I showed you, this range right here, those green lines, what they will actually do is actively heal whatever is being damaged. So they will automatically target anything that is damaged that is of your units within their range and heal them. And that is awesome, right? That is fantastic. That means that whatever you build, yes, it can be damaged, of course, but it won't be damaged forever. And your construction turrets will be able to help with that, right? So construction turrets are great as a third line. So you have your primary line of defenses, or your troops, and then you have towers, and then you have construction turrets on the back line, just barely within reach of your towers, or anything that you want to be healing constantly. Or especially Geo. Geo I would be very careful with. Geo is explosive, extremely explosive when destroyed. So you do need to be aware of that. That if, say, I built a warden right here, then odds are that if this Geo got destroyed, it would nearly kill that warden. So, very explosive. Be careful what you're doing with those. Alright. Now, what else can you do with construction turrets? You can lock them to things. So, if I say, let's say I want to build 15 thugs. With all 5 construction turrets working on it, it's going to take 3 seconds per thug, right? But what if I double click left, left double click to get all of these highlighted, and I attach them to something else. Well, suddenly, this is going to take 5 seconds on its own because it was already 80% complete. But one of these is now going to take 20 seconds because my construction turrets are locked to something else. So you can lock your construction turrets to any construction object that you want. So that means that if I'm trying to build something with my little builder who is actively hiding from me, thank you. Shift. Alright. If I'm trying to build one of these and I go lock. Alright. So I've just locked all of my construction turrets onto here, right? That means that if I take my little builder bot and it is within the range of the construction turrets, they'll actually, if I lock them to this lab, they actually will not help this construction. Now, if I highlight them and hit stop, it will allow them to adjust to whatever they want. So if I have multiple constructions going on within the range of these units, I can either click and drag to highlight just like any other unit, or double click to highlight all of them within my frame. That means my viewing angle frame. Then what that means is I can specify which things will get higher build power and therefore priority when I'm constructing different items. And that can be exceptionally useful if you're building 2 or 3 large items and you want one to finish before the rest. Because then you can just highlight these, click on it, and they will finish building it, and as soon as they're done building it, they will turn to whatever else is next and help build that. Alright, now, let's do an exploration on just how far we can push construction turrets. So if I build a heck of a lot of these things, right? I mean, I can really go ham on construction turrets. Like there is no limits on construction turrets as long as it is within the range, right? I do not advise you to do this. Blocking your bot factory is by no means a good idea. But I am now building one construction turret every, let's see, 3, 2, 1, done. Right? And again, I have the resources to support this because of my conversion and my power. But I'm still building these in 3 seconds flat. Right? So, before you notice that I was able to build... Why? So I was able to build one earlier right here, but now I cannot. Thrilling. Alright. So, before you notice that I was building a grunt every, what, 20 seconds with all these? So if I highlight all of these and lock them to this, and build a grunt, this grunt is going to take, let's see how long, 20 seconds, right? Alright, cancel that. Now, if I highlight all of these, lock them to the bot factory, and start building a grunt, suddenly it's done in 2 seconds. And suddenly, 25 grunts can just be pumped out like nothing you've ever seen. Remember, it's also going to use 120 metal a second every time I build one of these. Because, well, it's done in 2 seconds. So for 1 second, it's going to be doing all 140 metal in a single second. That means that it's also going to be using 1,000 energy within that second. So that's why you see the jumps in 1,000 every single time one of these things is built. But suddenly you notice that I can build 25 grunts in absolutely no time at all, just because I have the economy to support it. Alright, and I think that is actually all we have to cover today. So, again, I highly encourage you guys to launch into a game. Contact me in the comments if you're new to this game and you want to just hop into Discord, call, and, you know, screw around. I mean, I'm not that big of a YouTuber, so I don't have any... I literally have no subscribers, so, like, you know, if somebody wants to play with me and try and learn and just figure out what's going on, then I'm absolutely down to do that. So, other than that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, hit the like and subscribe button down below. Next episode, we're going to be going over Tech 2, most likely. A few episodes from now, we'll do a full run through of the game and how I would play it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye.